Learning to read is actually so important and so close to so many parents' hearts that many educators and parents end up teaching in a way that's similar to the way that they were taught and is like kind of dogmatic. They're like, oh, well, I learned in this way, so I'm going to teach my children this way. Don't do that. My name is Adam Hart. I've been teaching children how to read for the past 8 years. And I guarantee you that if your child is aged 3 to 7, then they're curious about letters, they want to learn, and there's a way to teach them in a way that's engaging, that's going to engage both of you guys, it's going to build your relationship and set them up for success. Hopefully you'll be able to walk away from this short video with all the skills that you need in order to bring your child to this really important stage of sounding out 3-letter words or 3 sound words. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make or buy or print out online, there's loads of these online, a little book with all the lowercase letters of the alphabet and have each letter paired with a little picture that shows the sound that the letter makes. So there's lots of these on the internet, but be careful when you're picking them out because lots of people make some mistakes with this. Letters really actually make a lot of sounds. And English is kind of crazy like that. And it's really common in those alphabets that are posted in classrooms that are made around like a cute theme, like animals or zoo animals. So they're constrained and they get to something like the letter G. And they'll have a picture of a giraffe. But when you say that out loud, giraffe, ja, 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 G doesn't normally say ja, right? So if you teach a child that G says ja, then the first time they see the word goat, or they see the word go, or they see the word great, then they're going to say Joe, or jote, or jate, or something like that, right? So we need to make sure that we're teaching the most common letter sound with each example picture and with each example word that we choose for this alphabet book. And another common mistake that people make is that they think that the sound has to come at the beginning of the word. And while this can be helpful for most letters, some letters don't work well with this. And I'm thinking specifically about X. Okay, that X sound that the X normally makes, it never makes that sound actually at the beginning of a word. So if you're trying to choose a word that begins with X, you're actually going to be teaching kids the wrong sound for X. If you say, oh, X says X like an X-ray, then they're going to think that X always says X, right? They're not going to think that X says X. Or X doesn't normally say Z for xylophone, right? I grew up with in a classroom that had an X for xylophone up very proudly up in the corner of the classroom. And that's just not how X sounds. So I actually usually use the word box when I'm making these alphabet books for students, but any other word that has an X in it that's a simple word would work for them. So another thing that people do is they'll say the letter sound when they're teaching their child. The letter sounds, they'll say the letter sound and then they'll add a sound to the end of it. So instead of saying, oh, B says B, they'll say B says ba, or they'll say L says la, or they'll say T says ta. And while the first part of that is true, L does say L, it does not say la, right? So if you are teaching a child how to read and you teach them that B says ba and T says ta, then here, I've got my whiteboard here. Let me put this down for a second. So read this with me. Ba-a-ta. What does that say? That's right. It says ba'ata. No, it doesn't say ba'ata, right? It says bat. So we have to make sure that we're teaching children how to read the correct sounds. We're not teaching kids how to read B as ba, but B as b, and T as t, not ta. So that's another important thing that you need to make sure that you got when you're teaching children the letter sounds. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and make this book and read through it every day with kids, saying the letter, the sound, and then tracing each letter with their finger. So tracing is actually a really powerful method for memory, as it will not only help your child learn how to write, but it will also build that extra point of connection so that your child will remember each part of every letter. The more senses that you can involve a child in their reading and in their learning, the more powerful those connections are going to be. Now, before we move on though to blending, I wanted to say one really quick note about making your own book. If you're making your own book, you are actually setting yourself up for success, because when you make your own book, you have this incredible opportunity to fill it with things that are important to your specific child. If you've ever gone and talked to a kindergartner and you've played a little dumb and you've shown them the letter that starts with their name, 9 times out of 10, they will stop you in your tracks, no matter what you were saying about that letter. And they will say, did you know that this letter is at the beginning of their name? They'll be like, oh, that's A for Adam. And they'll be yelling at you and telling you that's A for Adam or whatever, right? They loved the first letter of their name. Like, it's something that's just universal about kindergartners or something like that. I don't know. Or almost all kindergartners. Filling those alphabet books with things that are important to that child, you're able to leverage this in a way that's really going to make those letters memorable for their child. You can use all sorts of different things that your child interacts with all the time, right? So, and maybe if you've got a cat, then the cat's name could be in the alphabet book. Maybe if the child has a favorite TV show, then that TV show could be in the alphabet book, right? Like, oh, T for trash truck. Maybe if you like that Netflix TV show about the trash truck. So I don't know, but whatever thing that your child is interested in or something that your child loves, you can incorporate that into the alphabet book and that'll really help them to learn. And so finally, one last thing is don't worry if you can't draw well. I know that a lot of the times people can feel kind of self-conscious about their artistic abilities. I promise you, no one else is going to see this book except for you and your child if you don't want them to. And your child is going to care a lot more that you made this book. Maybe I'm kind of naive about this. Maybe some kids actually do care. If you'd like to, you can use Canva. You can use, just do a simple Google image search or something like that for each of these things. I guarantee you that if you make this yourself and you incorporate things that your child is interested in, that's going to make those connections really, really strong and really, really powerful. And it's going to help them to learn each of these letter sounds a lot better. All right, we made it, guys. We're off to the next part of the video. We're talking about blending. Blending is a really important skill. If your child only knows the sounds of a letter, then they're going to have trouble putting those sounds together into a word. So let's show you an example. If you have been going over your alphabet sounds with your child and you show them this word, then they might say b, a, t. And that'll be it for them. They'll just say b, and they'll just stare at it and they won't be able to put those 3 sounds together into a word themselves. It's kind of funny when you see kids do this for the first time because you know that says bat and they just said all of the sounds for bat, but just it's hard for them to put those together into actually making a full word. And so here's what I want you to do. You're going to start off, you're going to get maybe 2 or 3 2-sound words. So let me say that again. You're going to find just a couple of words that just have 2 sounds, okay? You might introduce this by saying something like this. Today we're going to play a game where I'm going to say some sounds and I want you to put them together into a word. So let's start off with this word, at. What word says at? And I promise you, you're going to think that your child is going to be able to say at, but they're not going to be able to say at. They're going to say something silly, or maybe they won't say anything at all. It takes time to build this skill with your child. And you're going to go through a few words like that with them, right? Maybe you start off with at, and then to, and the. And I also want to, this is an important note. You and I both know that to has 3 letters in it, right? T-W-O or T-O-O. I guess also T-O. You could just do that. So maybe it's a bad example. Or the word the has 3 letters in it, right? T, H, and E. So the has 3 letters, but it actually, when you listen to it, it only has 2 sounds. So you want to use words that have 2 sounds, not 3 sounds or anything like that. But it doesn't matter if the word has 3 letters. It just matters if it has 2 sounds. Okay? Once you've done that, actually, that's all that you really need in order to be able to read. If you can decode, which means that you know what all of these letters mean, and then you can put them all together, you can blend into a single word, then you can read words. And that's all your child really needs in order to read simple 3-letter words or things like that. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. I know that I didn't cover every single rule in English, and I'm going to be making more videos like this really soon that I hope you'll find helpful. But I just want to leave you with just one more thing before I go. I want you to just remember that you're doing a great job right now. You know, wherever you find yourself being like frustrated or scared or any other really normal, challenging emotion involved in parenting and learning how to read, I want you to just remember how lucky that you are that you get to make this impact into your child's life. You know, so many people out there, they're struggling and they haven't been able to find the energy to help build their child's reading skills. But you did today. You sat down and you watched, and it's a really special gift that you've given your child in watching this video. So I just want you to give yourself a little pat on the back and just congratulate yourself that you've done this for your child and that you've taken the time to personally engage with evidence-based practices and around reading instead of relying on other people to do this for you, that you took the lead in your child's life. So congratulations. Love you so much, I guess, and I'll see you all in the next video, okay? All right, see you later. Bye. And they're going to make some silly guesses. I had one kid every day for a month tell me that every word that said sap, we did it once and it was sap. I did sap. And she couldn't guess it. And I said, oh, that word was sap. And then for whatever reason, after that, every single word was always sap. So anyway, just remember that your child is going to struggle with this, and that's okay. You know, you can laugh along with them, or, you know, just, it's not a big deal if your child gets it wrong. And if it's not a big deal if your child gets it wrong for a long time, right? But if you just keep at it, then your child's going to get it. And it's going to be really helpful for them later on as they're reading, because it's going to really give them that leg up once when they can sound out a word, that they'll be able to put it together confidently into making a complete word.